Good morning, everyone. This is Bob Martin with Nautilus Dry Docks. Just wanted to say hello on this beautiful Saturday morning. This is my YouTube live with the RCSubGuy. I think this is the third one that we've done. Hopefully you guys are seeing value to it. It had about 50 people sign in and take a look over the course of the last couple that we've done. If it stays up, we'll keep on doing it, and if not, hey, I'll just continue with my my videos and my blogs, and we can take things from there. So again, thanks for joining me. I don't really have a set itinerary of things that I wanted to talk through, so I'm going to be counting on you guys to be asking some questions and topics that you maybe want me to talk about. But in the meantime, while everybody gets signed in, why don't we take a quick look at some of the projects I've got on the bench? And actually there are quite a few. I got a preview of two new sub kits that we're going to be releasing here very soon, and then four projects that I've got on the bench right now for customers. So let's take a look at what we've got going on here. First of all, I got a cylinder buildup. This is an OTW dive module, 4 1/4 inches in diameter. You've seen these in my builds before. I love them. They're really bulletproof. It uses a pressure ballast system. So basically a pump forces water into a sealed ballast chamber, and that compresses the air, and then it pumps it back out again. And you can see the main pump there, as well as the solenoid valve that is used as a check valve. Got bow plane servos, 2 rear servos for the rudder, pitch control, automatic pitch control in this one. I'm setting this up for a customer who's got, I believe it's a big Type 7, so it's got a dual motor bulkhead here. So these are beautiful. If you're ever interested, I keep these in stock. They're terribly expensive, but I think it's important for North American customers particularly, because they come from overseas, and typically there's about an 8 to 12 or sometimes 14 week lead time. So I keep them in stock and I put them together for customers as they are ordered. Other projects we've got going on here. You may have seen the beginning of my buildup of this OTW upholder. There's a little bit more progress here, obviously. As you can see, I've got 1 coat of primer on there. Still pretty rough. I got some touch-ups to do, but show you the internal workings of that. So again, this is utilizing OTW's dive module. It's got a 5 amp hour, 12 volt sealed lead acid battery, and it's in the wet. You'll notice that this is in the flooding portion of the hull. There'll be a waterproof connector that goes to the battery, but the terminals will be sealed up. These love water. They're, as their name implies, sealed, so you don't need to worry about water bothering them. Bulletproof, and because this is such a big boat, we got lots of room. You don't need that energy density that a lithium polymer battery would offer you. So this is another project that I've got going on right now. You guys have seen the Big 21. Unfortunately, I haven't done too much with this. In the last time, I've been busy with travel. I've been busy with catching up on builds that were in queue before this. But I've set a goal for myself of August to have this complete. So watch for that. Don't know if you've seen it before. This is an operational periscope system that I've rigged up for it. I got a video on my channel about that. Works really slick. Basically a simple air pump and a big syringe, and it sucks it in and pushes it out. So that is a pretty slick system as well. Mentioned 2 new kits now. You've already seen in the background here, and I have posted it up on the forums. It's ugly looking right now, so I apologize. But this is a 1/100th scale Russian Typhoon ballistic missile submarine. This is going to be a kit that I'm going to be offering in conjunction with Bob Dimmock with OTW, hopefully within the coming months. It's based off of, well, really the only thing I'm using is just the main body from a company out of Germany, and the kit was really inaccurate. The sail was way too small, by like 2 inches too small and a 1/2 inch in height. The deck was all wrong, all the scribing. is wrong. Fortunately, the hull form itself is pretty good. I've been focusing on redoing the stern section, and that is complete. As you can see here, it's all smooth and ready for scribing. All of this needed to be reworked. This needed to be extended, smoothed out. I had to fabricate new prop shrouds, and those fit in perfectly in the stern section right there. Here's an interesting application of 3D printing. Now, I think we're going to be offering brass props, but out of curiosity, I wanted to see if 3D printing would work. And these are gorgeous. This is a heavy-duty nylon. Really, it's got a little bit of flex to it, but they're really, really durable, and it's the proper shape, and it's got the proper attenuator on the outside there. It's pre-done for the shafts, so that is an interesting alternative there as well. Here's the new sail that I fabricated from scratch. It's all glossed out and ready for scribing. That's kind of what it is going to look like once it is on the boat. So it's a sizable boat. It'll be 69 inches overall with a 9-inch beam. The cool thing about that is it'll either take the big 4¼ inch dual motor OTW dive module, or you can do a dual motor 3.5 inch subdriver, or you could do a pair of 3.5 inch single subdrivers, just like the real boat, which has 2 pressure vessels on the inside, which opens up the center section for operational periscopes. So how cool is that? The last thing that I wanted to show you, actually 2 more things. We got 2 more things. We'll show you this one. This is a little space car from a video game. A customer hit me up. He was a game fan. I thought it was neat. I drafted this in 3D and 3D printed it. I got to paint it yet, but it's from a video game. It's the hero of the game. It's a top-down shooter kind of game. So I'm working on that for him right now. Here's a little 3D printed missile hatch for the Typhoon, and this is going to be an option. You can either go with the set-in-place scribing that'll be on the model, or you can have all of these functional and operational. And as you can see, they're highly detailed. They turned out really, really good. Last thing is a new kit. See if anybody can identify it based on just this mock-up that I've got going on here right now. If you want a hint, it's about 22 inches in overall length, and it's in 1/22nd scale. Do we have any? There we go, DSRV1. You bet. So this is going to be a new kit that I'm going to be offering. It's going to come with plastic tubing center section, and then 3D printed details. And actually it works really, really good. Everything fits nicely. We got flanges. You can set just some quick retaining screws in there to hold everything on. Looks like this 2.5 inch easy driver is going to be just perfect for installation in the boat. And that means you won't have a dive system per se, but if you ballast it just slightly positively, with just the top of the sail sitting out, this thing should be a really, really good performer. Now, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the boat or not, but the entire prop shroud in the rear gimbals left and right and up and down and gives some astounding performance in there. Still a couple more detailed pieces to come. I've got some thruster inserts. That'll be some really neat detail in there, but I'm excited about this. It's a neat boat. I think it'll be a really convenient size just to turn on, throw in the water, and push around in the pond. So look for that to be coming out here in the next month or 2 as well. So with all of that said, I'm going to have to back up and see what I missed here for comments. Love to get a sub, but just a dream. Why is it just a dream? I know they're expensive, but there is, there's economical kits for getting into. Don't don't put it out of your mind yet. You can buy the hull kits for fairly cheap, put the hulls together, and then slowly buy the components over time. If you do everything all up front, yeah, it'll set you back $1,000, but when you space it out over the course of a year and budget for it, it's economical. You can make it work. What else we got on here? Greetings from Denmark. Nice. There are kits. Yeah, of course there's kits. Like, I sell the kits on my website. There's dozens of different kits that I offer. And, in terms of chemicals you mentioned in there, really the only thing that you need to be around is, glue. And cyanoacrylate really is not a smelly glue at all. If you epoxy, that is not smelly either. With the kits, you don't need fiberglass. They're all pre-done. It's just a matter of gluing them together. So, it's no more dangerous to be around than assembling a plastic model kit. So provided you can stomach that, you'd be in pretty good shape. And then there's always options too. If you put the model kit together, you can always outsource the paint if that's something that really bothers you as well. John wants to know what kind of paints I use. I will use a mixture. Now, typically I'm a big sub guy, as you can plainly see. And therefore, painting with an airbrush, I find to be tantamount to stupidity because I just don't have the patience to do so. So what I do is I will use high quality rattle cans. You get these from the home improvement store. I really like, Rust-Oleum and Krylon. They make good products. This paint primer in one, particularly the flat back black, is great for subs. For the anti-foul paint on the bottom of the modern nuclear subs, standard red oxide primer is pretty darn close to bang on in terms of color. If people are intent on a perfect match, get the paints, mix it up. Go to an automotive supply store. Get the proper two-part paints because those are going to be the most durable and easiest to apply. They've been painting cars for forever. And the application for this, for RC subs, you want something that looks good, but you also want something that is going to be durable because the last thing you want is for that to scratch really, really easily. All right. Found a circuit to build a 72 megahertz transmitter. Good on you, dude. If you want to build your own radio, you can certainly do that. I offer a proper 75 megahertz radio system for $80. Is it worth building your own for $80? That's certainly up to you. The receiver's like 50 or 58 once you add it on there, so it's 138 altogether. There's lots of those, and that's this system right here, the Vex Robotics 6-channel radio system. I love them. They're bulletproof, they're computerized. You can adjust dozens of different settings on it. I've never had a problem with them. They're great radios, so highly recommended for anybody that's interested in getting into the hobby. And like I said, it's really the only legal frequency in North America that allows you to operate on that 75 megahertz. 72 is an aircraft frequency. So technically, if the authorities catch you using it, they can confiscate your boat. That's not good. There's a question where? On my website, nautilusdrydocks.com. Check it out. I got sub kits. I've got all of the components, the accessories, the electronics, the radio systems. So yeah, I've got a ton of those Vex radios. I know they're not in production anymore, but there's lots out there. If you want it, I've got them. Thanks for the comment. I like my website too. Be sure to check out the FAQ section. I've got, or maybe the resources section. Got lots of information in there about Ballast systems, all of the different submarine ballast technologies, as well as frequently asked questions if you're looking to get into the hobby. Be sure to check that out. There's a bunch of links in there as well. And then check out my blog section, because I got a bunch of blogs that I've written, technical articles, ramblings and updates and all of that kind of stuff too. So I know a lot of people just go there to check out the store, but there's lots of other stuff to take a look at too. And I spend a lot of time on it. So don't make it so I'm wasting my time. Thank you. Large scale Lafayette. I think probably your best bet is going to be Engel of Germany. That's really the only one that I'm familiar with being out there. So Engel of Germany, it's like engelmodelbau.de or something like that. But if you search for Engel of Germany, it'll pull up their site. I don't know really what's going on with that. Typically, they were really good in terms of customer service, but lately I've heard from lots of customers that Engel is not being as communicative as they typically are. And a lot of that is, from technical help perspective. I'd imagine they probably get tons and tons of emails from people looking to teach them everything there is to know about RC submarines. So I don't know, for whatever reason, Engel's not being as communicative as they used to be, but they got lots of cool stuff too. That's where I got my sound module from, for my German Type 7, which is really cool. That allowed you to utilize your transmitter to have your model play, I think it was up to 20 different sounds. And that U-boat had, diesel engine sounds, it had the dive klaxon, the alarm klaxon, machine guns. It had all sorts of cool things. So that is something that you want to check out. Yeah, I didn't catch that develop sub RC lab Dobwith planes comment. Maybe you're gonna need to clarify that a little bit. Let's see, what else do we got going on here? I'm going to be messing with something that I haven't had to do a lot of. That's scribing. So I've got some tools here. I've got some carbon scribing tools, as well as a bunch of different templates, and that's going to be for scribing all of the details, the panel lines, the access hatches, the missile hatches, and all of that stuff for that. So I'll have a blog article and a video talking about how to scribe your boats coming up here in the very near future. Smallest boat that I personally have built is probably my little 77 scale Disney Nautilus. It's 31 inches long, but there's not a lot of room inside. It's a 2-inch cylinder. This is like the upper hull for it. That's as small as I like to get. Those people who have these little tiny, like 1/144 scale boats, I think you're all crazy. I mean, more power to you, but I refuse to work on them. They're just too dang small. The cylinder for some of those, like the 1/44th and the 2/30th scale boats, is like 1.25 inches in diameter. My fingers are too big for that. I want the room to work and to space and to keep things organized inside the boat. So after that, I would say this is going to be the smallest one that I'll have built. 22 inches by 3.5 inches diameter. The kind of thing you can just like grab, pick up, and literally chuck in the water. I'm actually looking forward to building. I think it'll be a really quick build up. And with the Easy Driver, you got no ballast set up or anything like that. You literally turn it on, throw it in the water, and you're good to go. Biggest boat that I've ever built thus far would probably be this one, right here. As you can see, it's it's sizable. It's a 1/30th scale Type 21. So that's in the works right now. I've also got a 72nd scale Surcouf, which is similar in terms of length, but smaller in terms of beam. So again, I love the big boats. They're easy to work on. and they have great presence on and under the water. Of course, the only issue is storing it, transporting it. So with this boat, you can see I've actually sectioned it into 3 sections. So for transport and storage, it'll actually break apart into 3 2-foot sections. Or maybe it's like 3 foot and 2 foot and 2 foot. I can't remember the measurements anymore, but it'll break down for easy transport. And the good news is, I mean, this is actually going to be going up to Canada to a customer that commissioned me to build it. So instead of shipping a 12-foot long crate, it'll be something more reasonable, like a 3 foot by 3 foot by 1 foot crate. So much easier to transport. Expensive, again, everything is relative. RC subs as a hobby are certainly more expensive than RC cars or even RC airplanes. But if you golf 3 times a week and you're paying $100, $200, $300 every time you go out, when you start factoring in golf cart rental, meals and beer and all of that stuff, it's no more expensive than that. So you just kind of bear that in mind. It's all a matter of where your priorities are. I love the RC submarines, and the reason I love them is because nobody does them. I think I've said this before. I would guess there are probably less than 1,000 properly operational RC submarines in the world right now. Or I shouldn't say submarines, people who have operational RC submarines. Each one of those people may have multiple boats, but you take that in the population of wherever we're at right now, 7 billion people. It's a small hobby, and that's another reason that the costs are so high. These cylinders and everything that I sell, maybe a dozen a year kind of thing for each size. So it's hard to scale production. It's not like the RC car community where you're cranking out 2,000 of each body style and you've got the economies of scale to help drive price down. So each one of these cylinders, each one of these boats, each one of these kits are put together by somebody's hands. All of the people making the kits in this hobby are doing them typically out of their garage, or they may have a shop. But, they do it because they're passionate about the subject. They're passionate about the community. Nobody is in it for the money. Trust me. If I could make money doing this hobby, I'd quit and I would do it in a heartbeat. But, it's not going to happen. Shipments to Canada. Absolutely. I ship everywhere. I'm everywhere. Typically, a lot to Europe, a lot to Canada, a lot to Australia. You Australians are crazy sub guys. Lots out of Germany, lots out of, obviously lots out of the US. Permit, sturgeon, yes. Permit is in production right now. Sturgeon in production right now. You can buy them on my site. Those are put together by a gentleman by the name of Matt Thor, who also has an avionics background. Which is why he has amazing fiberglass layup, like aircraft quality layup. The kits are reinforced with like carbon fiber, and they're all like crazy awesome. So Permit just came out. I think Sturgeon is in the process of coming out right now. I'll be getting my first Permit kit. It ships out on Monday, and I'll have it by the end of the week. I'll do a review, post it up on the site here. Permit's a beautiful boat. I love the Sturgeon. That'll be following shortly thereafter. And then there'll also be I believe it's 48 scale Type 21 coming from the same gentleman. And I'll be carrying all of those kits if you would like to own one. I'm glad to hear that the prices in Germany are more expensive than mine. Shipping is a challenge, honestly. I typically end up shipping through the U.S. Postal Service because of cost. But, I'd love to have a better tracking system like those that you get from FedEx or UPS. But unfortunately, they're like double or triple the price. So it's ridiculous. And I don't know how, but like my last shipment of cylinders from the UK, it was inexpensive and it came in like a day. I don't know how they do it, but I have not been able to figure it out. If somebody has insights into cheap ways to ship big boxes internationally, let me know. If I can figure this out, it'd be worth it a lot to me, and I would make it worth your while. I appreciate it. Best way to cut an opening in my model sub for access to the watertight cylinder and other components inside. Okay, good question. That is a really good question. I'm glad you asked. So there's a couple of different ways. There is a transverse cut and there's a longitudinal cut. Now, this particular kit, I would recommend doing, utilizing the existing seams in the model. So this will probably end up getting bolted in place quasi-permanently. And then the back section will be held in place with just a couple of bolts, probably thumb screws, so you don't need to use any tools. The cylinder will be mounted directly to the rear section, so when you pull it out, all of your guts, gizmos, and linkages are in one assembly. The rest is just a cosmetic shell. So that's one way of doing it. It's a transverse seam that runs vertically down your boat. The other one that is more common is what you see right here. This is a longitudinal cut. The challenge with this is that you've got an exceptionally long seam. And if you don't properly brace the sides, you get a lot of warping, both on the lower hull and the upper hull. So you can see the way that I've addressed that is with a series of pins that go into holes in the upper hull to keep everything aligned. This is also an OTW kit, and you see he's got a lip in here, and that adds stability to the boat. And then I've got bulkheads on the inside there as well. So you can either do this as an L cut or a Z cut. This is an L cut, vertically down here, and then all the way to the back, or in the front in this particular case. The other way of doing it would be to cut this lower hull and mount this forward lower bow section to the forward upper bow section. And then what that allows you to do is put a lip on the inside. You drop your top hull down, slip it back under a lip in the back, and then a single bolt can hold everything down. In this particular case, I'll have two bolts, one in the bow and one in the stern. But the beautiful thing about this, especially with the modern nuclear boats, is this is typically at the halfway point, which just happens to be exactly the demarcation between your flat black upper and your red oxide lower section. So you don't need to mask it, which is pretty awesome as well. This will be, a little bit different. There'll be 3 sections for this particular boat. Again, this is just weird because it's so big and there's so many sections, but this entire section here is one piece. Oh, come on. There we go. So you can see I've got a belt-driven rudder, like that, hidden in there. And then this center section is removable, and that's where the watertight cylinder is going to be and where the periscope systems are going to be. And then the front section here is where our retractable bow planes and torpedo system will be housed. So there's a couple different ways for you to split your hull so that you've got access to the internals. I hope that answered your question. So hand build all of these. Yes, absolutely. Hand built. I've been building subs for people for probably 15 years. Obviously, I'm a lot faster at it now than I was when I first started. I'm going to guess I probably do about 5 or 6 a year, depending on the scope. That big 21 is vexing me because everything is scratch built. It's not just assembling a kit. I have to hand build the cylinder. I have to hand build the periscopes. I had to hand build everything. It's just a pain in the butt. But it'll be a cool boat when it's all done. Do I stock them in advance? No. Now think about this. If it takes me 3 months to build a submarine, and the components alone are costing me $1,000 or $1,500. I'm not going to build a boat hoping that somebody wants that exact boat in the future. Honestly, my build queue right now is booked through 2019. So if you're looking for me to build you a boat, unfortunately, I'm not accepting new orders right now. I've got about 6 lined up right now that are going to take me into the first part of 2019, middle part of 2019. There's just not a lot of people building subs for other people. I wish there were more, because it would help the hobby a lot if we could get more professional builders out there. Having said that, what I will say, taking that route of having somebody else build your boat with a model submarine is dangerous, because you do not get to understand the ins and the outs of how your boat works, how you maintain it, how it's put together, how to trim it. So it's not like a car where you just flip the battery on and throw it on the ground, and when you're done, you turn it off and you're done. You know, there's the pre-mission checklist, there's all of the operation, there's a post-mission checklist, there's, you know, maintenance, there's upgrades, there's troubleshooting. You know, trimming alone is something that everybody needs to be vitally aware of, familiar with. I got videos on it. I have a blog article on it that walks you through step by step on that. So it's feasible for someone. I would only recommend it though if you commit yourself to, once you're getting the boat, before you put it in the water, before you even turn it on, tear it apart and put it back together again. If you can't do that, you don't have any business in the hobby. So better to take it slow, leverage the resources that are out there, the people that are out there, the forums that are out there, tough it through yourself. It will be infinitely more satisfying and a lot safer for you at the end of the day too. And be sure you pick a reasonable subject. Don't pick the 8-foot long, you know, 10 channel operational everything with working whatevers on it. Get the basic boat. You know, the USS Blueback kit that I offer is a beautiful beginner submarine, because it comes with 38 pages of illustrated instructions. That's a kit that was formerly put out by Small World Models, Dave Manley, and then Subdriver bought them out, Mike Caswell and Dave Merriman, and now I took over that line. But that's a beautiful boat. This little DSRV would be a perfect first boat as well. No ballast system to worry about, but you get all of the fundamentals of operation, all of the seals, all of the trimming, all of that stuff is part and parcel of owning that. And it'll be more cost effective to do it that way as well. Let's see here. How do you surface the boat? How do you get air from the surface? Check out the resources page on my website. There's like 8 different ballast systems in there. So as I said, pressure ballast system, you got gas ballast system, you got hybrid ballast system, you've got piston ballast system, you've got our own Subdriver SAS or semi-aspirated system. So there's tons of different ways of skinning that particular cat. Too long to go into in this particular video, although we could do one only on submarine ballast technology if you guys wanted me to. But check it out, resources section. I got pictures and descriptions and everything, so that would be really cool if you want to check it out. Are you delivering kits any faster? Do you have to make the kit parts as well? So that depends on the kit. I keep a lot in stock. I've got Alphas in stock. I've got Charlies in stock. I've got the 48th scale ARC model boat. That is beautiful, by the way. I want to touch on that real quick. 48th scale ARC model, German Type 7 submarine is $400. And it's like 4 feet long. and it's a beautiful size. Comes in 3 sections with that transverse cut I was talking to you about, rear section, forward section, center section. I got a build video on YouTube that I did up. I did a custom cylinder for that one, but I've got a starter kit, and it's like 12 or 1300 bucks for everything. A 4-foot long German Type 7 submarine, 1200 bucks. If you were to go with like an OTW 32nd scale offering, you'd be closer to like $3,000. So for the value, that thing is like an amazing boat. I keep that in stock as well. I keep 90% of all of the sub drivers in stock. All of the electronics are in stock. What other kits do I have kicking around here? I've got a couple of mics in stock. I don't remember at all. That's why I have my website to manage my inventory. Static display but lighted subs. Oh, heck yeah. Actually, I would say 30% of my builds are probably static display. And I have done mostly Nautilus models. That's what I'm best known for. I am one of the few people that distribute Nautilus models. There's that 31-inch Nautilus that I showed you earlier. There was formerly the big 66.5-inch Nautilus model. I'm going to show you that because I just got one I dug out of the market. It's like the last one anywhere, I'm sure. But that's the hull right there. It's 5.5 feet long, and it's the same one as the RC model that I have on display in my dining room. You guys are getting a tour of my house. This is pretty freaky. Should have thought this through. There we go. Check that out. This is actually an RC submarine right here. I've got it rigged up for display when I'm not using it, but it's got full LED lighting. And as I said, I build lots of these models for static display. I've got 2 of the big 66-inch models for static display with full interiors, the salon interior with all of the couches and lights and specimen tables and all of that stuff. You can say hello to my wife.
Hi, everyone.
That's Renee. She's on her way out for a hair appointment. So yes, to answer your question, I've done a bunch of static models. I've done a really cool Seawolf, USS Seawolf model for a big aquarium, and they suspended it from the bottom. It floated, and I had some fishing line and weights, so it looked like it was in the water there. So yes, the short answer, yes. All right, I need to start thinking about wrapping things up. I'm gonna give you guys like another 60 seconds to think about any last minute questions. I've seen the NR1. FX Models, I don't know if they're still offering it or not. fxmodels.com. I think the gentleman's name was Mark D'Antonio. Check them out. It was a smaller model, but it was beautiful of the NR1. For that guy who likes small models, there you go. That's the one that you would be after. Oh, that's very cool. He worked on that video on torpedo and ballast systems. Check out my channel. I've got 3 or 4 videos on various torpedo systems. I don't think I actually have one just on ballast systems. That would be an interesting one. Like I said, I could talk about that. I've got a few different examples here that I could show. But yeah, good point. Can do. But all of the information is either on my channel or my website. You just got to dig them up a little bit. Good stuff. Well, I really appreciate everybody signing in. Makes me feel good that people are actually interested in this hobby. Obviously, it's a big investment of mine. You know, I don't just sell stuff, you know, buy it and then resell it as I get. I'm holding all of this stuff at my house, trying to help the hobby out because we need as much help as we can get. So having this much interest from people makes me feel really good about the future of the hobby. If you have any questions, hit me up anytime. Email's best, bob@rc-sub.com. That permit model is already for sale, I believe. If not, I'll switch it over here right away because yes, it is currently available. So yeah, bob@rc-sub.com, email's best. I got my next time.